You have a sea of possibility, a sea of potential swimming through your energy, waiting to be brought into your physical, full material reality. And it can feel really overwhelming. It can feel like it's not possible. It can feel as if whatever you're imagining, whatever you are manifesting, calling in, creating, it can feel as if that's all it is, that it's only in your imagination, that it's only in possibility or potential. But the secret, which is not really a secret, so many people speak about this, but it's something I personally have experienced over and over again, is that when we connect to the feeling, when we connect the depth and the power of our imagination to the energy of our possibility, when we can really feel and see and know what it is for it to have happened, for it to have already materialized, then it does. And it happens in ways that are so out of the ordinary, can be can be unexpected, completely unexpected. And one of the reasons that it can be very difficult to believe that is because of all of the very deep subconscious beliefs. This is not a new concept. This is centuries old. But to really understand that means that just by saying something is not going to change your brain. And the brain is a beautiful instrument, an amazing electronic instrument to help shift our beliefs and what we know. But the belief can only be shifted. The fastest way to shift the belief is to really experience it. And how do you experience it? By imagining it. What if your imagination was real? What if your imagination was like a technology that you can utilize for creation in your physical life? What if your imagination was the key to unlocking all of that sea of potential within your energy? I can see aura very clearly. I can see the spectrum of light that they say we can't see. But I know I'm not the only one. We just haven't really talked about it, or we haven't really been believed. So if you have certain extrasensory abilities like that, and you have felt not believed for experiencing what you experience, that can be a big block on manifesting or calling in or creating an experience that you know is meant for you. And how do you know it's meant for you? Because you can't stop thinking about it. Because when you see somebody else do it, you have a response of maybe jealousy. And that jealousy is a signal saying, oh, I could do that too. That's what I need to do. That is a possibility. But maybe that jealousy is actually the friction and static of energy that's in the way of that potential coming in. So, what can you do? If this is making sense to you so far, what can you do? Well, there is no shortage of people telling you what to do, but I'll tell you what works for me. So, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm sharing what works for me. And it has worked in remarkable ways because I cultivated the relationship with my imagination to be a true translator, a real translator for my intuition. And you can see this in many different studies. There's a Harvard study from 2009 where they taught people how to learn the piano on physical pianos, and then they had a focus group that imagined it. And then when they came back for the results, the people that imagined it, their brains lit up in a similar way, in a very similar way, than the people that physically did the action of actually touching the keys. Now, why am I sharing that? Maybe you've heard it before. Because it shows that our imagination is real. And if you have fear that comes up from that, I know I did when I first started really diving into this years ago, because I had a depth of anxiety and worry and catastrophic thinking. And hearing that my imagination was real meant, oh, does that mean that every terrible thing that I am worried about could also happen? No, because you're utilizing your imagination as a translator for your intuition. And your intuition is not worry. Your intuition is not anxiety. It might not be the quiet whisper that some people call it. It may actually be a depth of excitement that you aren't even aware that you have the ability to be for yourself and the potential that you actually have to realize all of the dreams and everything that you want to experience and receive and create. That's more about not trusting the depth of your actual power. So, starting to trust your power, a way to reclaim your power, to reclaim that trust, is to start to trust your imagination. Can you imagine that one thing that you desire? Can you imagine it? Can you really see it as a little movie in your mind's eye? And if you have a challenging time visualizing in your mind's eye, can you feel it? Can you feel what it feels like to walk as that person who has that thing, who does that thing? Can you feel the excitement after you find out that it happened? Can you really feel it though? Like truly. And one way to wake up your inner senses is a certain exercise that's really popular among hypnotists. And I've looked many times and I can't find the exact origins, but it's not from me. It's something that I have heard from many different places and really in the history of preparing for hypnosis. And this is called the lemon exercise. This is when you really imagine cutting a lemon on a lemon board. Nope, on a cutting board from your kitchen and cutting it, putting the wedge in your mouth, allowing your imagination, your energy mouth, we'll call it, to bite down on the lemon. And then you feel the lemon juice, the sour, the texture, the flavor, and you start to feel your mouth responding to the sour acidity of that lemon. And you are actively imagining what the experience is like. And you use that same technique in imagining what you want to achieve and receive and do. Because these goals and dreams, these desires from your heart and your soul, these are not random. Not everybody has them. You have to get incredibly clear on exactly what it looks like. If it's an amount of money, what is it for? What are you using it for? And what does that feel like? Really see it in your mind's eye if you can, or really feel it. But you're going to be feeling it regardless. But can you hold that excitement? Can you hold that amount of satisfaction and fulfillment of achieving what you desired to do? And you're meeting what the outcome is by imagining every aspect of it. And by imagining every aspect of what happens, what the actual goal, dream, wish, manifestation, what it actually is, when you know it by heart, when you are so connected to what that is like from every sense you have, then you can trust all of the steps that you feel called to take towards it. Then you know what it is that you are actually going towards so that you recognize it with every step, so that you know what feeling is correct and what feeling is maybe trying to redirect you away from what you are actually meant to do. So, can you first imagine it as if it was a lemon that you have already experienced? Cutting a lemon, eating a lemon wedge. If what your dream is, imagine it. Imagine it as if it has happened and start to think of it as this is happening. This has happened. This has already happened. And then think of it, imagine it, feel it every morning, every night. Every time you have an idle moment, just feel it. But then when your brain tries its best to connect the dots between where you are and where that is, because most likely it can feel very far away, say no, the how, every single step is not any of my business. But what is the first step? So then bring your attention back to what is my intuition telling me the first thing I need to do is, and it may feel a bit scary. That's how you know that it may be the right step because it's unfamiliar. So, what is that next right step? You'll only know, you'll only trust yourself if you have a clear, imagined, fully formed knowing with every sense, feeling, seeing, hearing, tasting, but really feeling it within yourself of what that desired outcome is. Then you can use trust to surrender to how it's going to happen. And if it's incredibly difficult for you to allow your intuition to show you through your imagination something deeply wonderful without thinking that it is incredibly impossible, then start small. Really connect to what the essence of that thing is. If it is being seen, then can you remember a time in your life when you were seen for who you are, for what you did, for what you had to offer, for your gifts and for your talents, even in a very small way? Connect to that, remember that feeling, and then expand that feeling. Make it more and more real. Really dive into the feeling of being seen. That's how you start to open yourself up to the possibility because those possibilities are in there. They're already waiting for you to connect what is possible to the reality. And the way to connect those two things is with your intuition and your imagination. Does that sound too simple? That's because it is simple. But we make the most simple things so difficult. So strip down the difficult out of your intention, out of your manifestation, out of your dream. Take it off the pedestal, take it away from something that could never happen, and start to hold it so closely. Start to get to know it so deeply that you would recognize it from 2 seconds of feeling it and then commit to it. Commit to imagining and feeling and knowing it every morning and every night. And then commit to taking action that you know you need to take, even if it's difficult. Because what's in the way of what we desire is us and what we truly believe is possible. Our hearts know it's possible, our souls know it's possible. So, how can you reconnect yourself to that depth of power that knows all of the possibilities are waiting to be born? It's reconnecting to that depth of power you have within, reconnecting your imagination to your intuition and trusting it so deeply that you can bridge those two things together and allow yourself to trust in the feeling and the knowing and the imagining, bringing your imagination into reality. So start today. Start trusting that your imagination can be a true translator for your intuition to show you in so many different ways what your dream really is, and that you can hold it and feel it and expand it and live there so that you know that any time through the steps that you take, it is inevitable as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't trust your fear and your doubt more than you trust your heart, because your heart knows what you really are meant to do. And the only thing in the way is trusting yourself and the possibility. That's the only thing. So, can you commit to start to trust yourself by connecting to that incredible potential, slowly bringing it out of your field into reality through your imagination and all of your intensely powerful inner senses to help create the outer experience? It's possible. Start today. I'd love to hear how it goes. And I hope that made sense.